Reggie here, your fellow neighborhood bodybuilder and comic book collector, and I want to welcome you to another one of my live streams. So, this is a viewer requested live stream. I got so many messages yesterday into this morning asking me, Reggie, have you heard the news about CGC? Are you going to be talking about it? And I'm gonna be honest with you, after doing 2 live streams yesterday and releasing a pre-recorded video, I felt like one, I was exhausted, and two, you guys are probably tired of hearing from me. So I delayed until today, talking about CGC's new service offering. And we're gonna dig into that in just a moment. I'm still honestly wrapping my mind around some of it. I read the email, went to the website, I took a look at some of the stuff. And so we're going to kind of read it and review it together and then maybe have a little bit of discussion about the pros and cons of this service. So we're definitely going to dig into that in just a moment. I want to say hello to some comic book soldiers that are here in the room. Then I'm going to unbox something. I got an awesome book that came in yesterday. So I want to unbox that real quick and then we'll dig into the CGC stuff in just a moment. So let me say hello to some folks here. Matt Gray is here. Matt's at work and he has his headphones on. Brother, don't get busted. Turn the monitor around so they cannot see you with the other comic book soldiers. Matt, it is good to see you. Chris Barrett is here. Ariel is here. Perry Comics is in the house. Ross is in the house. James Tomlinson, my man. Jonathan Fong is in the house. ICT Vinny says, Perry, your channel is starting to grow on me, bro, which I think is a really good thing that you guys are checking out other YouTubers on here. Perry is a good dude to definitely check him out and see what his channel is all about. Huma is here. Tony Trombetta, the president of EGS, is in the house, brother. It is good to see you. Thank you for joining the live stream. Darren is here. Who else is here? Robotech 909 is here. Jong T is in the house. Old Wolf 65. How you doing, brother? Party Time Comics, my man. It is good to see you. Hydra Collectibles is in the house. Who else do we have? Cody Logan is here. Mark Tripp is here. Another Chris Joa in the house. How you doing, brother? It is good to see you. Who else? Ghost Host Memories is in the house. Greg is here. And while we're talking about third-party grading service, Andrea, is that Andrea? Andrea is here. Yes, Andrea, my friend, is here. And there's an Andre XP, I think that's how you say that, is here. Adam is here. I think Adam is up from Sam, where you are. I think you're up north of me in Sacramento. I think, if I'm thinking about the same, correct Adam. So one thing I want to talk about before I jump into this stuff, impromptu, Tony Trebetta, the president of EGS, is here. I helped to announce the availability of EGS many months ago. And I think that they've gone on to do some really cool things. Check them out if you have a chance. They revamped their website a couple of weeks ago. I think, at least I became aware of it a couple of weeks ago. And then they're also doing something really cool where you now have the ability to select, I think it's 15 different color labels for your slabbed comics. And I think that's really cool because now you can actually kind of color coordinate. You got to coordinate. You can color coordinate the color of your label on your slab to the book that you are actually getting slabbed. So I think that's a really cool feature. I know CGC actually just rolled out 5 new labels or something like that that you can actually get for an extra cost. I don't know how much EGS actually charges for theirs. Theirs could be free. I honestly don't know, but I definitely encourage you to head over to EGS's website, check it out, and look them up. Tony, if you get a chance, drop in the URL into the chat so that folks can easily find your site, because I don't have it memorized. I have it bookmarked, but not memorized. So let's go ahead and pop this box open back here. Take a look at this book, and then we'll get into the news about CGC. Scrolling down through some of the comments here. Very good. All right. Yep. All right. So Adam is up in Sacramento. Very cool. I talk to a lot of people, and occasionally some facts actually stick when I talk to folks. So Adam, I have a lot of people up in Sacramento, man, that are like, you gotta come up to A1, you gotta come up, check out the shops. I had a guy just this morning be like, don't go back to Stockton. He's like, don't go to Stockton, but come to Sacramento. So maybe I'll make an appearance up there at some point to hang out with you guys. So opening this book up here. This book is well protected. Somebody was not messing around here. I think somebody's kid is actually missing a flotation device. But this bad boy is well protected. I'm gonna actually mute the mic here. Well, here we go. Tony Trebetta is hold on. Oh, so it is. Let me correct this. All right. So that's right. It is pronounced the same as Andre. So there we go. So Andre XP is here. And my friend Andrea, who I talked to via text messages, also in the room. Collect those sixes here. It's good to see you, brother. And then Tony Trebet is actually clarifying here that his labels, his colored labels, are actually $5, which I think is a fair price. Party Time Comics, no, brother. This is unfortunately not AF-15 as much as that hurts my heart. It is not AF-15, but I think it's a cool book though. So let me unwrap this thing so I can show you guys what it actually is. If this was an eBay seller, he'd get an A+ for packing, because this thing was well packed, man. This is impressive. Impressive. And you guys know I love some painter's tape. You guys know that. That is loud. Sorry about that. Put you back on mute. Ooh, ooh. It's a old CGC label. Didn't know it. Stockton Con. Yeah, I've heard a little bit about Stockton Con. When is that? August 3rd and 4th? You never know, Greg. You never know where I'll pop up, brother. I want to go to someone was asking me about the Silicon Valley Comic Con, so I may hit that one. I was talking to Brittany over at CGC yesterday, and she was talking about San Diego. So I don't know. I may do none of them, or I may do all of them. Like who knows? But this is an old CGC label that I have right here. This is actually my second copy of this book. The only one that I have graded. Let me take it out of the plastic because I think it'll make for a better presentation if it's out of the plastic. So bear with me as I take this off. But I think it's a cool book. I think you guys would definitely enjoy this. Here we go. Here we go. Ghost memories like, nah, bro, don't put me on mute. I want to hear the sound. This dude was not messing around. So here is the book that just arrived yesterday. Oh, Wolf says, drum roll, please. This is Batman Adventures number 12. It is a 9.0 in an original CGC case. Definitely a really cool book. I have another copy of this raw. And I want to say that my raw copy is probably maybe a 9.6, maybe a 9.6. So this is a really cool book. I was really upset. It was about 2 weeks ago. I woke up on Saturday morning and I was checking the apps and I was trying to see what books were out there for sale. I got a notification that a book, something that might interest me had popped up on one of my apps. And I looked and it was 2 books. It was a Wonder Woman book and it was a raw copy of this for $5. Or was it 50? Doesn't matter. It was cheap. And I was like, I went from seeing that to telling my wife I'd be back in 15 minutes to grabbing my keys and getting in my car. Cause I sent the person a message. It was like, I am on my way right now. And no sooner than I pulled out of the driveway, I got a message basically saying, oh, my girl made a mistake. She shouldn't have put $5 on there. It's actually starting at $250 or something like that. And it was just, it went all downhill from there. I was like, forget about it. But I was happy to actually pick up a really cool copy of this. Again, this is my second copy of the book. So I'm definitely pumped to actually have that one in the collection again. Right. And now this one's actually graded. So there we go. That's cool. Yeah. Donald is making the point here that old label is better than the new case. All right. So scrolling through, I love American Comics, says DJ. Yeah, Perry is putting what muscle I have left, brother. I need to get myself to the gym because I'm turning in a dad bod over here. I'm telling you, every single day. Chris, I don't know if I'm going to San Diego. I was talking about it. I don't honestly know whether I'm going to get there. Yeah, but this is definitely old label, old case. You can see this thing is like super thin. And yeah, there's still even some Newton rings. So there you have it. There you have it. But definitely a cool book. All right. So I'm gonna show this comment. Tony Trebetta is talking about the check out the Instagram. He has pictures of the new labels up. Yeah, I think I liked a couple of those yesterday. So definitely a cool thing. Thank you, Cody. I definitely appreciate it. All right, so let's dig into the topic at hand. The topic at hand is this new service that CGC has actually just rolled out, and it's pretty topical or timely, right? Because I just talked about CBCS just yesterday and the money back guarantee that they actually are doing right now, and then I get this message yesterday about CGC. And so what CGC is doing is they are basically doing an expert review. And I'm trying to wrap my mind around this. So please bear with me and definitely look this up for yourself to ensure that I don't get anything wrong. And some of you may have already read it as well. But basically, one of the big challenges with buying books on eBay is that sellers will have books up there and they will be like near mint, near mint. I am not a professional grader, but this is near mint. And you look at the book and you're like, that book is beat. I am not a professional grader, but I think it's going to be a 6.0, but I'm going to put a 9.8 price on this book. Right. I'm not a professional grader. So look at the pictures for yourself and you decide what grade it is. And I'm still going to try to get 9.8 pricing on this particular book. And one of the challenges in general that I'm trying to illustrate there is that eBay is tough. eBay is tough. Grading is part art, part science. And no one wants to put a grade on a comic, if you will, and then have somebody buy it. And then that person come back and say, well, you said it was a 6. It's actually not a 6. It's more of a 3. Give me my money back or whatever it is. Right. No one wants to lay it on the line and basically say this is what the grade is, because they could be wrong, because grading is part art and part science. That's why you have third-party graders who are professionals that can actually do this stuff. But nevertheless, you have a lot of amateur people that are trying to grade comics and just people that are trying to sell comics, and they don't always know, right? I've encountered many sellers where they just put near mint because in their mind, the book is near mint. But in the minds of an actual collector or someone that has some grading expertise, they can look at the spine ticks down the spine and know that that is not a near mint book. So those are some of the challenges with eBay, right? It is, well, there's many challenges with eBay, but part of them is just the reliability of the estimated grade or the reliability of the images that are actually being seen on the comic that is being sold. And I'm talking about raw comics here. I'm not talking about graded comics. I'm talking about raw comics. So what CGC is attempting to do is to address this unmet need, because it really is an unmet need. There are lots of transactions, probably thousands of transactions every single day on eBay for raw comics, where people are trying to evaluate how much should I sell this book for? What is the grade? And on the other side, the buying side, what is the grade? How does this match up? Do I have enough pictures to make an informed decision about the quality of this book? And so what CGC is attempting to do is to fill that void by offering up what I think they're calling CGC Expert Review. All right. And basically what this thing is that you can get fast feedback on a collectible's authenticity and a grade from CGC's expert team. This service gives you a preliminary opinion that can help you to make a smarter purchase decision. A CGC expert's opinion will be delivered in 2 business days. So the way that this thing works, and this is my understanding, there's 2 services that are essentially being offered here. One of them is a preliminary opinion of authenticity. Whether it's authentic or not. I struggle with that word, whether it's authentic or not. And so I think that this is like where they will look at a signature maybe, and yes, that's real. No, that's not real. And then the other service is that they will give you a preliminary opinion and also a grade. So they will look at your comic or look at the comic that you're thinking about buying and will basically say like, yes, this is authentic. And I think that the grade is likely to be this. And what they're actually doing is they're charging 2 different fees. If you're just trying to get an opinion on whether it's authentic or not, it's $5. If you're trying to get the authenticity as well as the grade, it is $10. And here's kind of how the way that this thing is going to work. You find a listing on eBay of a book you're interested in. You complete a form where you basically say to CGC as the buyer, here's a comic I'm interested in. Here's the book. Go look at it. Within 2 days, they will give you an opinion of that, what they see there, whether it is, again, whether it's authentic, and then what the potential grade will actually be. They'll receive it. They'll then give you that expert review. And so the way that this thing works is that there's, again, two services that are being offered. Is it authentic? And the way that they're going to rule on that is it'll be likely genuine, likely not genuine, i.e., a fake, and inconclusive. And if they determine that it is inconclusive, right, you'll get a full refund. So if they're looking at something, they're like, you know what, this one grainy photo that is like 1 pixel by 1 pixel, right? I can't even see it. It's inconclusive. We can't decide whether this thing is real or not. Here's your $5 back. And then the other will be, they look at it, they're like, yes, there are enough pictures here for us to be able to validate that this thing is genuine. So it is likely genuine, or there's, again, we think that this is a fake. That's what likely not genuine means. Yeah, bro, it's a fake. That's translated what that actually means. And then the second service that they're offering is possible grade opinions. And what they're doing is they're doing this for comics, magazines, and concert posters. They're giving themselves a fair amount of leeway with this thing. They're being generous because, again, if you've ever bought off of eBay, some people put up two photos, front and back. And then there's other people like me that will put up front, back, from this angle, from that angle, across the book, zooming in on this corner, right? There are people that do a little bit more to ensure that when you buy, you know what you're buying. And so, but to that point, they're actually giving themselves a lot of leeway on this thing. And the ranges are like likely 8.0 to 10, likely 6 to 8, likely 4 to 6, likely 2 to 4, likely 0.5 to 2.0, likely no grade, NG, likely individual pages, likely cover, and then inconclusive. And if they determine that it's inconclusive, you get $5 back off of the 10 that you would spend. So they're basically like, we're going to take a look at what you're thinking about buying. We're going to give you some opinions on whether this thing is real or not. And then we're going to give you a wide range on whether, what this grade of this particular book might be. And I think what's great about this is that you have another opinion. And I've been doing this for people. People send me stuff all the time. What would you grade this? What would you pay? People do it all the time, but I'm not an expert. Same way I'm not an expert presser, I am not an expert grader. But what this offers is it gives you the ability to actually get an expert's at least preliminary opinion so that you can make a more informed decision about, do I buy this thing? Yes or no? And then if you do decide by having the grade, right, that range, you are now able to look at the potential price of that comic and decide whether it is a buy or not a buy. If it's an auction, how high do you bid based upon your FMV that you're actually seeing in your pricing database? So I think it's actually a pretty darn good service that feels a need and hopefully better positions the consumer to make some more informed decisions. So I know that you guys have been chatting big time. So let me try to catch up with some of this stuff. I would say if you guys have thoughts on this, post it up real quick so that I can see it, because I actually want to acknowledge some of these comments. And we're going to start with my buddy from Heroes to Icons because he is funny. He says, CGC is the pimp of the grading game. Stay off CGC's corners. They will pimp you out, but can't hate on the pimp and hustle. I love From Heroes to Icons. He's an awesome artist, and it clearly is a funny dude. Thank you, Connie. I definitely appreciate you rallying the troops for the thumbs up over there. So thank you for that. Have no fear comics is basically saying it'll work on auction bids so long as there's more than 2 days left. Don't use it on a buy now. Well, I think you can use it on a buy now. You just have to be prepared for the fact that you might actually not get that book because someone else may actually buy it sooner than you. But I think that what this offers is, you have to figure out where, when, and how to use the service, because I think it's a cool service. But let's be realistic. If the book is like a $2 book, you're probably not going to use this kind of service, right? There are going to be some dollar amounts at which you are going to decide that this actually makes sense. And I'm going to talk more about like the incentives that CGC is offering in just a moment. But there are going to be some points where you're like, below this price, no. Above this price, yes. Or it's going to be like, I really want this book and I just want to feel better about what I'm about to do. And so I think that there are going to be some places where you want to use it and some places that you don't want to use it. I agree with Andrew, should be the seller for, so Oh, I don't. I think I got that one out of context, geek. So I'm not going to address that because I don't want to address that one the wrong way. Very Dylan is saying very cool, saves me money and worry. That's dope. He guarantees that he's overpaid on mini books. Brother, we all have. Let's be honest. Head and Heart video coming soon. But yeah, I think we've all overpaid for a comic here or there, sometimes by accident, sometimes by purpose, or on purpose, I should say. But yeah, this won't necessarily stop you, but I think it's another really great tool to have at your disposal to get an expert opinion. And yeah, you have to pay for it. It's not on the seller, it's on the buyer to actually pay for this service. But again, there's a couple of incentives I'll get to in just a couple of moments. Hydra Collectibles, I think 2 days is too long. He impulses buy. I'm not touching that one. I'm not touching. My man has a bias for action like mine, so I am not touching that one. Reggie, yes, you are a pressing expert, brother. Yeah, I can. I used to press some weights. I don't press weights anymore. I'm pressing comics now, and I don't know how well I'm even doing that. I actually finished part 3 of that pressing video, bro. It is like 19 minutes long. The part 3, it is 19 minutes long. It's really long, but I hope to get that one out to you guys soon. So scrolling back up. So here, Old Wolf is making the point that the person who owns the book should pay for the service. My challenge with that is that eBay, also known as Feebay, also has people that inflate the prices of the books already, right? They're inflating the prices of the books because they're not grading them properly. Because they have to pay fees both to PayPal and to eBay, so they're already inflating the prices. And so if a seller had to use this service, they would just inflate the price even more, right? And now it becomes cost prohibitive for anyone to actually use the service. What it may do, however, is put pressure on sellers to actually maybe better grade their books if they know that people are actually going to be employing the service. I can see lots of pros and cons, to be honest with you, to having this service available. I really do. I think that it's great, but I see pros and cons as many of you do. So Perry Comics says, I can grade books like this. I'll charge $5 and get back to you 20. Perry Comics is now going into business where he is going to offer near expert experience, expertise on grading comics. So reach out to Perry Comics if you want to have your eBay books graded, and he'll do it for $5, people. You're awesome, dude. Adam saying, I'm not an expert either, but I'm pretty good at giving an estimate grade on the book. So when I sell it at the lowest estimated grade I can give it just to avoid possible issues. Boom, Adam, you, sir, we've done a couple of deals together. I definitely get where you're coming from. Yeah, but the natural tendency of most people is to overgrade the book that you're selling and undergrade the book that you're buying. That is people's natural tendency, And I think what's going to happen, honestly, is that I think that this is going to be a great tool for certain types of transactions, right? Again, whether it's a dollar amount and or experience of the buyer, I think that this is going to be something that is, I don't know if it's going to be widespread, but I think it's a tool that many people will tap into. And I think just like CGC in general, I think grading companies in general, I think it gives people to some degree or another a peace of mind, right? So this Harley Quinn just arrived today. I have this thing in my hand. It could easily be PGX or CBCS or EGS. Or Halo. I could easily have any slab in my hand. And because it's a third-party grading company, I don't have to worry about whether this is real or not. I take comfort in the fact that it is in the case is sealed. There is a grade on it that gives me comfort. And I think that to some degree or another, this is a tool that helps people to make more informed decisions about raw books that haven't been encapsulated. Is it perfect? No, but nothing is. To the point that someone made yesterday about it's impossible to find a perfect 10 comic because there's always something wrong. Adam says, this is a different Adam says, I think it's an interesting idea. Buying anything high dollar off eBay can be a bit nerve-wracking. Yes, it can. And that's part of the reason why I buy a lot of high-end books, either already graded or I buy them in person, because doing it in person gives me a little bit of comfort. And so to that point, let me make this transition real quick here. One of the big questions, and I like the way that CGC did this. They actually anticipated some questions that people might have, right? They put a lot more information here. And then they also anticipated some questions with an FAQ. And one of the questions is, are CGC's opinions guaranteed? Because that's important. They basically say the opinions given through CGC expert review are preliminary opinions based upon eBay's items images. A precise opinion requires in-person examination by multiple professional graders. CGC expert review opinions are therefore not guaranteed. And so the way that this thing is going to work, let me get to that part real quick. So where do they talk about that? Oh, so here they talk about this a little bit. So you pay either $5 or $10 to get access to the service, either for verification of authenticity or for authenticity combined with a preliminary grade. And the way that it works is that if you decide that you actually want to buy that comic and then you want to get that comic graded, CGC is actually going to give you a voucher for the full amount of what you paid. So the $10 that you would have paid, you actually get a voucher for that when you actually send your book, as long as it is submitted within 90 days. So you'll receive a discount on CGC's full certification service if the comic is submitted within 90 days. Just said that almost perfectly, almost word for word. You will get a voucher sent by email equal to the amount paid that can be used to submit the comic to CGC for regular grading services. The voucher is valid for 90 days after purchase of CGC expert review. So again, I think that that's really cool of them to do that. It's a little bit of an inducement, a little bit of, hey, again, maybe you're not going to use it for $1 book, but you're going to use it for a $1,000 book, or maybe even $100 book, where you're going to spend that $10. You're going to get that opinion. You're going to then get that book in because you bought it from the seller. You're now going to then send it off to CGC, and you're going to get a voucher for that $10. So whatever you would have paid, it is $10 less. And I think that's really cool. So again, if you add this stuff up, you use your Ebates, you use your eBay bucks, you use your $150 credit from getting your CGC premium account, and then you use your $10 voucher, it's not too bad. You can actually save yourself a little bit of money. I mean, you're still spending money, don't get me wrong, but you can actually save a little money. Interesting idea, but shouldn't CGC be concentrating on grading books and reducing the turnaround time? And so here, this is an appropriately phrased comment from a dude named Cold Blooded. Cold Blood is like, interesting idea, but shouldn't CGC be concentrating? It's a legitimate point. And here's the thing, maybe what they're actually doing by doing this is if and to the point that someone asked yesterday, do I need to be a professional grader in order to work for CGC or CBCS or one of these other grading companies? Maybe what they're going to do is they're going to use some of their newly hired staff to actually look at these books on eBay's website, give these rough grades, and maybe this online service is the training ground for hiring more staff that ultimately will go into doing the real work that has to be done, which is reducing the turnaround time on comics. I don't know. It's a thought. It's a thought. And maybe it is pie in the sky. Maybe that's not the plan at all. Maybe they're going to just divide the sales force, and not the sales force, but the team. But I don't think that would make sense, especially with the things that CBCS is actually doing right now. My guess is that they're probably going to hire more people, and then have those people, of course, be supervised by people that have more expertise, et cetera, et cetera. Because I mean, you got to remember, you can have a group of people that are actually looking at a computer monitor, giving opinions on books, right? And you have a wide range of like 2 grades to be within. So not like it's a full review. It's not like it's an expert review. I mean, it's a high level preliminary view. IMJ says, I'm super curious as to when we will get the first comic grading service whereby you scan a book and the machine learning grades it. That would be a standard. Hey, sign me up for that, IMJ. Sign me up for that. Because you could probably program it to look for certain defects. You can, have a certain tolerance level, whether it be the size of a crease, the size of a corner ding, the size of a spine tick, the bindery tears. I mean, you could program a computer to do a lot of that, which would be kind of cool. So there you go. Interesting. Chris Barrett is basically saying, I'm going to use it on high dollar books, which I think makes a lot of sense. Connie in the house. I'm watching you, Connie. Just a Rican Rod is in the house. How you doing, brother? It is good to see you. Thank you for joining the live stream here. We are talking about the new service that CGC actually rolls out, or I guess announced yesterday, which is basically where they're going to be giving estimated grades and reviews of comics, raw comics that are actually being sold on eBay. So we spent a little time kind of talking about the service that they're going to roll out, some of the costs associated with it. it where you may or may not choose to use it. Party Time Comics says, my understanding is if they can't grade it, they refund your money towards the grading service. Yeah, so the way that it works is that there's two services that they're offering Party Time Comics and others that have joined. One is this thing real? Is it not real? Can I not determine whether it's genuine or not? And that's $5. And if they decide that they can't determine whether the item they're looking at is genuine or not, you get your $5 back, full refund. The other level of service is this thing genuine? And then what is a preliminary grade of that thing? That is actually $10 because you're performing basically two services, right? And for that one, if they decide that they can't determine the grade, right? Because let's say that someone puts up a book for sale that only has like one photo of the corner of the book, or it's blurry and they're looking at that, they're like, we can't grade this, right? If that's the case and they cannot give the book a grade, you'll get a refund for $5 back, half of what you paid. If you decide that the grade, the authenticity is cool with you, you buy that book, you want to send that book in for grading, they're actually going to give you a voucher for $10 that will be taken off of actually getting that book fully graded, fully encapsulated by CGC. So you end up basically paying nothing for that service. If you go from using the service, buying the book, to having that book graded, it's essentially a wash. So definitely a cool thing to do. Marcel is saying, so that means that sellers need to use high def photos and lots of close-ups. Bro, there's a lot of sellers out there, man, that just aren't going to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot of sellers, everybody knows this, that will only do the front photo and the back photo, or they'll do the front photo or they'll use a stock image. There are people like me and probably like you, Marcel, that when you sell, if you sell, take multiple photos, right? Front, back, close up, from an angle, looking at this corner, highlighting the defects, open the book up, take a photo of the inside pages, look at the inside cover, the back cover, look at the staples. I use the allotment of photos so that whenever someone looks at something I'm selling, and I even do it through Instagram, I do video, I do multiple photos. You want to see this book? I want you to know what you're buying, because I don't want you to get it and be like, this is garbage, So there's a lot of people like me, and there's a lot of people not like me. So I think it would be great if people used high-res photos and things like that. But I can tell you for a fact that people are just taking one grainy photo and they're done, and I think what's going to be important is that as a seller, or I'm sorry, as a buyer, you look at those listings, you look at that book, and you have to decide, is it even worthwhile, right? As buyers, we are going to be in control of, look, there's one photo. Do I really want to buy that book? Right? Do I really want to have to spend $10 to have CGC look at this book to tell me that they can't grade it because it's one photo, for them to give me $5 of my money back? It's just, we're going to have to use this new tool appropriately. And I think that each one of us is going to have to decide what's appropriate for us. For some, it'll be dollar amount. For some, it'll be, that person's individual expertise at being able to grade books. So I think each one of us is going to have to decide where and how to use it. Chuck in the house. How you doing, Chuck? Have no fear comic says, I have never, ever overpaid on an eBay book. Really, truly, honesty. Honestly. Have no fear. Thank you, brother, for keeping it fun. I definitely appreciate that. And we've all done it. And sometimes it's accidental. Sometimes it's on purpose. Because at the end of the day, it's a hobby, and this hobby should be fun. And sometimes you buy a book because you want that book and you love that book, or you couldn't find this book anywhere else. And you're like, you know what? I haven't seen this. I'm going to just buy this joker because I'm tired of looking and I want it. You know what I'm saying? Because is sometimes the answer. Head or heart video coming soon. Stay tuned. This is my theme right now. This week has all been about head and heart. There's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes with family and with just life in general. Head and heart. That's what's up. Scrolling through some of the comments because I am definitely behind. Chris Barrett is like, money grab. No, but I don't know if this is a money grab. I don't know if it's a money grab. I don't know. We'll talk offline about that, Chris Barrett, about my thoughts here. Anthony Bustamante is saying, hey, Reggie, new subscriber and love the content. Keep up the great work. Anthony, it is a pleasure to have you here in the live stream, brother. I'm definitely glad that you are enjoying the content. We went from basically a little over 4,000 subs to almost 4,100 subs in just the last week alone. So we are definitely on a tear. And I want to thank you guys. I want to thank you, whether you have been on this train for 52 weeks or for 1 week. I want to thank you guys for being part of Regie Collects. I definitely enjoy having you guys here. I love interacting with you guys, and I love these live streams because they're just kind of impromptu. They're a little fun. I give a little information, and then we just have a little banter back and forth. Hiya, Layer Bro Comics. How you doing, my man? All right, so Chris Barrett and Perry Comics are having a battle right now. So Perry Comics has basically said that he will basically do a non-expert grading for $5, and now we have lowball Chris Barrett like, I'll do it for $3. So now we'll have to see whether someone is actually going to go like $2.99, like an eBay bid, only in reverse, right? Beat me by 1 penny or 5 cents or whatever. Whatever the margin is. Scrolling through the comments here, Cody saying you could use that service as a draw to your book over other books. CGC verified it if you did it for sellers. That's true. And the problem, however, I think, is that you have a lot of sellers who are overestimating the grade of their book. They are increasing the sale price of their book because of the fees associated with eBay and also with PayPal. So if you combine their overestimation of grade with the desire to avoid those fees, what you see is that books are going for well above what they should be going for at that grade. So if you had a seller that had the ability to actually offer this additional service for $10, right, then you're basically looking at increasing the overall offering price or the asking price for that particular book. It's tough. It's tough to do it on the selling side versus the buying side. And I'm guessing that CGC and eBay, when their leadership teams or marketing teams sat down to have these discussions, I'm guessing that those are some of the discussions that they had, because it's tough. It's tough. And, as a seller, I don't know that I would pay extra money. I don't know that I would pay extra money on top of the various fees that I have to pay in order to entice someone to buy my book. I would entice somebody to buy my book by having a carefully written description, by having 12 photos of the book, by having a nice headline and stuff like that, and pricing it competitively. I think that's how I would do it, but that's just me. Again, I think, Cody, your point is legitimate. My guess is that they considered it and may have come to some of the same conclusions as I. But you never know. Maybe they'll offer it for both. Who knows? Because it could be used as a competitive advantage. Felix is in the house. Phil is here. Phil says, how long does it take to get a graded book back? Brother, it depends. It depends upon the tier of the book that is being submitted, and also the level of service that you may have selected, whether you fast tracked it or not, which essentially cuts down the processing time in half. It also depends on what other services you're getting, right? If you're getting the book cleaned and pressed, that is going to take some additional time, but you can get a book back in as little as a day. But you have to pay for it, right? So I think that a lot depends upon those factors. And if you really want to know, Phil, to be honest with you, bro, if you hit me up on Instagram, I can actually show you some screen grabs of the projected turnaround times that CGC actually has in its portal. I actually have access to that stuff, and I can actually show you what the expected turnaround time is. Now, your results may vary. That sounded like a commercial right there. It really did. Harvey Abel, how you doing, brother? It is good to see you, my friend. Adam says, all those inflated prices come from people who just see dollar signs. They aren't in it for the love of comics and making new comic connections. Brother, there you go. There you go. Very little of my books are actually sold on eBay. The vast majority of the deals that I do are basically Instagram. I post it on Instagram. I have a one-on-one I don't even post the price up on Instagram in many cases. I have a one-on-one conversation with someone. I send them screen grabs of the Go Collect recent prices. And I'm like, here is some video. Here's some footage of the book that you're thinking about buying. Here's the grade that I'm giving it based upon Go Collect's FMV or Comics Price Guy FMV, and it is what it is. And I try to do my stuff pretty darn fairly, man. I don't want anyone to ever feel like they've been taken advantage of by me, you know. And because I do so many live streams, and because I, you know, to some degree or another live in public, reputation is important. You know what I'm saying? Like if you take advantage of somebody, somebody's gonna be like, yo, this dude's bad. He took advantage of me. He sold me a 2.0 at an 8.0 price. You know what I'm saying? So Adam, I think you could definitely be on to something there, my friend. Mr. Comic 89, how you doing, brother? It is good to see you. Have No Fear says, if I'm buying a classic Silver Age and it looks like a 6.0, I'm only buying at a price of a 4.0. Otherwise, I'll pass to the next one. Hey, everyone has their strategy and philosophical approach. I definitely respect it, brother. Definitely respect it. And you would never hear me tell you that you are wrong for having that approach, because if it works for you, then it must be right. So there you go. Scrolling through, too old to play with toys. How you doing, bro? It's good to see you. My Twitter buddy. He is one of the only people that retweets my tweets on Twitter. And I try to comment on his stuff and retweet his tweets. As a seller on eBay, I tend to undergrade books and never give an exact number grade to avoid customers feeling disappointed. Just a reminder that there are good eBay comic sellers out there. Well said. Well said. So scrolling down through here, Geek is basically saying, I meant that this service should be paid for by the seller to give more of a guarantee of a price to condition rather than the buyer. I respect that. And we kind of talked about that a little bit. My guess, again, is that folks had that discussion, had that debate, and decided that this was possibly the better way to go. Old Wolf is saying, so you're paying $5 or $10 for a guess. Yeah. Yeah, that's what you're doing. That's basically what you're doing. And again, here's the thing. Here's the thing. This is another tool in someone's arsenal. The best tool that you can probably have is to get up your own grading game. That's the best tool to have. Your own personal knowledge is probably the best way to go, because it's free to some degree. You have to invest the time, energy, and effort right into doing the research, but start trying to learn how to grade. If you go back and watch the video that I did with CGC, where I interviewed the head grader about how to grade, we talked about pressing. All of these things were really done to help make you guys smarter collectors, right? You don't have to pay $5 or $10. Well, you may have to pay the $5 for authenticity, right? Because you're not, you know, looking at signatures and grading them or evaluating that. But as far as being able to grade a comic, there are videos out there on my channel. There are videos and other pieces of information out there where you can make yourself a smarter collector. You can learn how to grade. You can learn how to press if you want. And you can actually then look at these books and evaluate for yourself. Is there color touch? Is that a pressable defect? What is the grade of this book if I don't press it? What is the grade of this book if it is pressed? You can learn these things and you can save yourself a couple of bucks. For those that don't want to do it, and there's a lot of people that don't want to do it, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? Then this is an option. This is an option. But oh, Wolf, yeah, it is $5 or $10 for a guess. Yes. You guys are awesome. So here, Cody says, feels, yeah, he's making a point that you could use this service and lose that in an auction. Well said, brother. So the question becomes, do you use it for auctions? Do you use it for only buy nows, right? Where do you use it? Right? Where do you use it? Do you use it for where they take offers, right? And you actually be like, look, I spoke to CGCS, or sorry, CGC. They gave me an opinion on this particular book based upon this evaluation. I'm willing to bid this. Will you accept it based upon that? And maybe you use it as a point of negotiation. Because to be honest with you, that's what I do now. I'll look at a book and I'll be like, I see this defect, I see that defect. Based upon what I'm seeing, I think this book is this. Based upon the FMV for this book at this grade or whatever, I think it is this. And I basically will send that comment, that note to a seller and be like, look, I want to buy this book. I want to add it to my collection, but here's what I'm seeing. I think the grade is this. I think a fair price would be that. It's a point of negotiation. And maybe that's how you go about using this additional service. So scrolling through some of the comments here, Connie is basically saying, I would only buy high grade comics off of eBay only if they're graded. There you go. And that's part of the reason. Sorry. Oh man, Old Wolf 65 is like, I can guess and pay myself the money. You guys are awesome. Just pick a number out of a hat. That's the number. You're awesome. Connie's basically saying that she would only buy high grade comics off of eBay if they were graded. I definitely respect that. And that's part of the reason why I actually buy high dollar books in person. I either buy them graded because of the peace of mind that comes with buying it graded. You don't have to worry about it, right? Or I buy it in person. And by buying it in person, I get an opportunity to actually look at the book, grade the book myself before actually putting my money down on the table. So I think you're definitely spot on about that. I think that this again is a very is another tool. Yes, that comes from folks that have some experience and some expertise. It is another tool that we have access to, and then we have to decide how best and where to actually use it. Chuck says, it seems odd that they are doing this since I can sit down with Overstreet grading guides and do the same thing for free. Yeah. And I mean, again, this goes to the point, Chuck, about, I think you've been in this hobby for a while. You have educated yourself. You actually have an Overstreet guide, right? Think about all of those younger collectors who don't. Yes, they should get an Overstreet guide. Yes, they should learn how to grade. Yes, they should figure some of this stuff out for themselves, but not everyone has that level of interest or that level of desire. You know what I'm saying? So again, I think it's just one of those cool tools that is out there for people. Harvey Abel, you're a nut. Harvey Abel is asking if I've ever seen an actual gibbon. So there are two. There are two new gibbons that are actually at the Oakland Zoo where we are members. I may actually get an opportunity to hang out with some gibbons, and you may actually see it in a video at some point. So I lost a lot of the comments. You guys, sorry about that. I lost a lot of the comments as I was trying to answer Harvey Abel's question. All right. Geek says he's got to roll. I'm actually going to roll myself. I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me just a little bit, for catching this update related to CGC. Definitely look into this for yourself. Check the facts, see what's out there, decide for yourself if this is something that you're even interested in using. Again, I think it's a really good service. Maybe not for me, but I think it's a good service that is being offered to other members of the comic book community that may need some assistance, right? I like it because it feels a void. It feels a gap, right? And it's not just, hey, we have a new label, or we have a new case, or we're going to ship your stuff with even more protection. This is actually, in my opinion, something that is substantive, that people can decide how they want to use. And I think it fills a gap. Again, how often have we seen sellers say, I'm not an expert. I'm not a professional grader. I think the grade is this, and therefore I'm going to charge a 9.8, even though I'm saying that it might be a low grade book, because that's what a lot of sellers do. And again, I think to someone's point, too old to play with toys, there are lots of really great eBay sellers out there, but there are also a lot of not so great eBay sellers out there. And as a buyer, you want to make sure that you have some tools that are at your disposal that can actually help you. All right. So there you go. Just a little FYI about this cool service. If you guys want to talk more about it, I am always around. You can find me at Regie Collects on Instagram and reggiecollects@gmail.com. And like I said, if you guys need me, I am not too hard to find. Take care.